This is the METS POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the New York Mets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
A night of cold bats and sloppy play fuel a Mets loss in the second game of this series to the Arizona Diamondbacks. They fall 5-1, and they will now look to get the series win and the season series split tomorrow. Welcome into the Mets Postcast here on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel and the Locked On Mets podcast feed. Some Mets After Dark action, and unlike last night, this one a bit of a struggle for New York, mustering up only 4 hits, but for a large stretch in this game, it was a 1 up there in that hit column. They did not have an answer for Zach Gallen in this one. They put together a mini rally in the 9th, but were never able to get the tying run to the plate. And after having the timely hits last night, unable to get those timely hits, or at least those big timely hits tonight. And it is that offense that is the focus of what we'll be talking about.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Zach Gallen had the Mets number tonight. The ace starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks had 7 innings of 1-run baseball, and he had a large stretch in this game where he had all the answers. It was 10, 11 in a row that he set down in this one, and the third inning is where the Mets had a real golden chance in this game. Tyrone Taylor beats out a double play ball that would have ended the inning, and thank goodness for replay. The Mets are able to challenge the call at first base, and they get one to go their way, extending the inning. And then Lindor draws a walk. Soto, after a 2-2 count, lays off 2 really good pitches, 2 good takes to load the bases. Pete draws a walk, so the Mets score first in this one. And then into Starling Marte up with 2 outs with a chance to have the base knock that blows this game open and gives the Mets and gives David Peterson a little bit of a cushion. And Starling Marte has one of the worst at-bats you'll see, I think, situationally. Wow, that's a tough one for me. That you will see, I think, at all this season. He gets up, and it is 3 pitches, looking. Takes 3 strikes, doesn't take the bat off of his shoulders, doesn't swing, and just goes right back to the dugout. And it leads to the next thing on our list there. He was in at the DH spot tonight. And the Mets, who will be without Jesse Winker for the next 6 to 8 weeks, puts Carlos Mendoza in an interesting spot. He's going to have to get a little creative in the way that he deploys his DH. And he has Marte that he can use. Brett Beatty is back up. I wonder if at some point we'll start to see Beatty draw some DH reps. Maybe you slide Vientos over there. You let Beatty play third base. There are options at Carlos Mendoza's disposal. But the one thing that I don't think he can do is have Starling Marte be the regular DH and have Starling Marte hit 4th in this lineup. I appreciate Marte. I appreciate what he's been as a player here for New York, and he has a lot of good moments here, some walk-off moments, some key hits. And when he is in groove, when he is playing his best baseball, he puts together some nice at-bats. But for every one of those at-bats, he has an at-bat like he did tonight in that 3rd inning. And the Mets did such a good job with 2 outs. Lindor drawing a walk, Soto drawing a walk, Pete drawing a really good walk. To go up there and just stare at 3 straight pitches right down the middle and not even put a ball in play, to maybe watch the Diamondbacks make a mistake. I mean, the Mets made plenty of defensive mistakes tonight. Put the ball in play, see what will happen. The one thing you can't do is leave the bat on your shoulders, and that was it. That was all the Mets were able to muster tonight. We talk about their situational, we got at that time, hitting. They only had 3 at-bats with runners in scoring position. That was it. And 2 of them came in the 9th inning. After the Marte won in the 3rd, they got set down by Zach Gallen. And they had Gallen on the ropes in this one. After that 3rd inning, where they drove up his pitch count, he was at 53 pitches. They gave him a 1-2-3 quick inning in the 4th, excuse me. Gave him another 1-2-3 5th quick inning in the 5th, and then another one in the 6th. He at one point sat down 10 Mets in a row. He was just dominating after that 3rd inning, and he was cruising and he was able to take the game into the seventh inning. The Diamondbacks hadn't had a starter all season long go into the seventh inning, and their weakness right now as a team is their bullpen, and you didn't get a chance to tap into it, even after the game was set up really well for you after the at-bats that you drew in the third inning. It was just a night where that pitcher, after getting out of that jam, locked in, and he had the Mets number. Dialed up that fastball. The Mets did not have an answer for it, and that was it. Sometimes over the course of a baseball game, you're only going to get one real serious opportunity to do damage and drive in runs. And the Mets' opportunity was with the bases loaded and 2 outs in third, and they were only able to muster the 1 run off of Pete Alonso's walk. And after that, there was nothing. Again, a small rally in the ninth, but they weren't able to do a whole lot with that. Didn't even score a run with first and third and 1 out. Even again, another miscue by the Diamondbacks. Josh Naylor letting a ball go foul that he should have just picked up and tagged Nimmo out. You were given a gift to try to extend the inning, to try to extend this game, and you did nothing with it. So it was a cold night for the Bats, who in total only mustered up 4 hits. It was a hit from Francisco Alvarez that got the Mets started. It was 2 hits from him overall. Marte had 1 in the ninth, and then Vientos. And that was it. All the Mets offense confined to those 3 guys and those 4 hits. When we get to the other side of the break, we'll talk about some of the sloppiness in this game defensively. We got to talk about Brandon Nimmo and that knee, and we will put a bow on David Peterson's day, one of his worst starts so far this season. We'll talk about that here on the other side. Do you ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Well, between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it is easy to lose track. Well, that is where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, gives you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it is a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, and even plan long-term goals. You want to manage money with a partner? It is smoother than ever with Monarch Money. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals together, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use our code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. There is nothing better than catching an MLB game live, the crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, and yes, the smell of that ballpark food. And if you are looking to go last minute, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. With last minute deals, all-in pricing, and a lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the stress out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, those ticket prices are going to drop as the game time gets closer, meaning that you can score an incredible deal. My favorite feature of the Game Time app is the seat view before you buy your tickets. You go on the app, you're looking at going to a Mets game or a game near you, a concert near you, something near you, and you're able to look up exactly what it's going to look like from your seat. You can preview your exact seat before you press the purchase button. No bad surprises when you get to the stadium. They've also got the Game Time Picks feature, makes finding the best deals effortless. It filters out the fluff and highlights the top discounts in the stadium. How about you take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time? Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB. And you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Back here on the Mets postcast, here on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel and the Locked On Mets podcast feed. I appreciate all of you being here with me. A little late night Mets after dark action. We had some fun last night talking about a Mets win. Unfortunately, those good vibes did not carry over into tonight's game, and there was some sloppiness in the field. I lost track, so apologies that I'm going to have to consult the notes to make sure I get all of the major plays in this one, but it was a sloppy day across the board, or a sloppy night across the board for the Mets defensively. You had a passed ball on Alvarez. You had a double that goes through Vientos's legs. Should have been an error, but they called it a double in the ballpark. So that sets up what goes down in the fourth. You then had Tyrone Taylor weirdly play a ball late in the game that allowed Corbin Carroll to get to third base. Diamondbacks tacked on an insurance run there. It was just sloppiness across the board from the Mets tonight. Brandon Nimmo, the play that he gets hurt on is just he takes a weird route, takes a weird step, and hurts his knee. And I'll tell you, I am surprised that Carlos Mendoza stuck with Brandon Nimmo. And I don't want to call it a mistake because I'm not there. I'm not in the dugout. I'm not talking to the trainers. I'm not talking to Brandon, right? I'm watching at home, sitting here, taking notes, trying to put the pieces together. But when the broadcast, when other people who cover this team are questioning why Brandon Nimmo is still in this game, it kind of validated my concerns in real time of he looked seriously hurt. All right, maybe you want to let him finish the inning just to see how he reacts to it. But it did not seem like the Mets should have messed around with putting him back out there because he did not look comfortable at any other point. He fielded a ball at the end of that inning and he had to charge in on it. And when he kind of slowed up, it just seemed like he did not have the confidence that he was going to be able to slow down or the confidence that his knee was going to not buckle on him. And so I'm surprised they let him stay in the game. As we sit here, have not heard from Carlos Mendoza after the game on what exactly it was that is plaguing Brandon. And I wouldn't be surprised if after sleeping on it and after maybe icing it or doing whatever they're going to do, if Brandon gets a day off tomorrow and isn't in the lineup. But it was miscues across the board for the New York Mets. It was just a tough night. And when you make those miscues that set up that big fourth inning and you have the miscues like Taylor did, listen, Taylor's been an excellent defender all year. It's rare for him to make a play like that, but he does, and it directly leads to a run. That's when you know it's not your night, when sure-handed defenders who normally make a play, a routine play, 99 out of 100 times, that 1 out of 100 pops up tonight, you know it isn't your night. And with the way the Mets bats were, how they were non-existent in this game, and you have to tip your cap to Zach Gallen in a lot of ways for the way that he just went after Mets hitters after that third inning, just wasn't your night. And David Peterson had his worst start statistically to the season, and he had a nice flow to this game. And that's kind of the story with David. He really gets off to a nice start. It was a 7-pitch, 1-2-3 first inning. He worked around a 1-out hit by pitch in the second, and you just felt like he was just cruising, just feeling comfortable, powering some strikes, and just being David Peterson, right? It's just kind of the norm with him. He's going to go out there. He's going to pitch somewhat deep, 5th, 6th inning. You're going to look up. It may not be pretty at times, but he's only going to allow 2 runs because that's kind of been what he's become as a starting pitcher. I think coming into tonight, if I remember the stat from the broadcast correctly, it was 20 out of his last 27 starts. It was 2 earned runs or fewer. And I know it doesn't feel like that when we watch Petey pitch, but it's just the results are the results, right? I know it can be nerve-wracking at times when he works himself in and out of trouble, but he has been a very consistent, a very reliable pitcher so far over the last 2 seasons, really since the beginning of last year. Tonight just didn't have it. Didn't have that crispness. It's funny because the third inning, he got 3 strikeouts in that inning, worked around a walk. And I thought that was the first inning that he didn't seem as crisp. He was missing with his fastball, was kind of elevating some pitches, had some deep counts that he had to work out of. He allowed the walk in that inning. He didn't allow any damage. He worked around the walk, and he got the 3 strikeouts. Just felt like he wasn't as crisp. And then the 4th inning, you have the Vientos misplay. Alvarez has the pass ball that moves the runners around, and then Nimmo gets hurt on that play in left field, and it all kind of comes tumbling down. He bounces back with a solid 5th inning. They ask him to go out there for a 6th. It's a leadoff walk. It's then a Gurriel home run. The Diamondbacks take a 4-1 lead. And again, with the way the Mets were hitting, and at that point, Gallen was in full control of this one. The Mets weren't even close to threatening an additional run in this game. You felt like the only way the Mets were going to get back into this is if whoever the Diamondbacks let through that bullpen door just didn't have it tonight, and the Mets got lucky in that regard and took advantage of the bullpen concerns for the Diamondbacks. But if you allow the starter to go 7+, you're not going to see a lot of those arms, and you're going to see the high leverage, more trusted arms, and that's exactly who the Mets saw tonight in Kevin Ginkel and Shelby Miller, and they did not have an answer. They will go for the series win tomorrow in a little afternoon, a little day baseball, 3:40. They will take on the Diamondbacks in the series finale. They will go for the series win. and they will go for the season series split. So they'll try to say, hey, well, you win 3, we win 3, we'll call it a day, and they will send Kodai Senga to the mound. And I see in the comments there's this sentiment of a concern and some people saying this feels like 2023 or they're missing something. Listen, tonight was a sloppy night across the board. Peterson didn't have his best stuff. They didn't play solid fundamental defense that we know this team can play. In fact, we've seen this team play excellent defense against this team. We saw it last week at Citi Field, that 4th inning that will probably go down in history as one of the best defensive innings you'll see. So we know they can do that against this team, and they didn't have the hitting tonight. They had 4 hits total, but it was 1 hit for a majority of this game. So it was a night where everything worked against them, and they have some questions. The injuries are piling up. They need to figure out what they're doing at DH. I do not think it can be Starling Marte. I wonder if tomorrow with Merrill Kelly going for the Diamondbacks, if this is a chance we see Brett Beatty get in there at DH or they get him in the lineup at third base. I wonder if it's a chance that we see him in there to get some more lefties in there and maybe try to spark this offense a little bit after the struggles they had tonight. But it'll be Kodai Senga on the mound trying to get the Mets the series win and to try to send them into an off day. What's an off day? Besides the rain out we had last Saturday, it has been go, go, go for the New York Mets. So they probably are very excited to finish up this series, get on a plane, have an off day, be back at home, sleep in their own bed, and then welcome in the Chicago Cubs for a 3-game series. We are back right here tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow in the early evening when the Mets finish up this series with the Diamondbacks. We will break it all down here on the Mets Postcast. Appreciate you joining us here. If you are new, please rate, review, subscribe in the podcast feed, subscribe on YouTube, turn on that notification bell so you're notified when we go live, and you can join us after each and every Mets game throughout the course of the season. So I think for the foreseeable future, this is our last Mets After Dark, where we do the postcast after midnight on the East Coast. I think we're good for a little bit. Tomorrow's day baseball, off day on Thursday, back home against the Cubs, unless they play a deep multiple extra inning game or there's a rain delay that pushes the game. I think it's normal. You don't need to get that extra bit of caffeine to join us here on the Mets Postcast. But like I said, that's going to do it for us. We're back to recap the series finale tomorrow as the Mets will take on the Diamondbacks. So we'll talk to you then. Have a good one, everybody.